our meat. The strong eat.
What's up, guys, and welcome back to my review for the Terror Infamy Episode 4, The Week, Our Meat. And I have got to say, this is probably the creepiest episode so far in this show. Something that I feel that will kind of hook viewers into watching more of it, because we have to admit, the first few episodes were more of an introductory to our characters and gave us an idea of where the horror elements were going, but this is where all the creepy stuff happens. But it's so creepy to the fact that I would probably have nightmares just watching this episode. And something that I noticed in regards to this episode alone, and something that's been kind of going on for the last few, were the characteristics of the Bakemono and how it reminded me of other horror movies. For example, I noticed with this episode alone how it reminded me so much of the Japanese horror movies, like, say, Ringu and The Grudge. I'm talking about the original ones, not the remakes. Just the presence of those movies gives off such a creepiness, and I really noticed it a lot in this episode. The other thing was the characteristics of the Bakemono and how it's able to possess another human being and take the embodiment, take over it. And that reminded me of John Carpenter's The Thing and The Thing from Another World, which that movie's based upon too. And it's the same thing with that. The alien takes over these human beings, and no one knows who is who. And it's just cool how I can make those connections. Probably wasn't done on purpose, because this possibly is a real legend in Japanese culture. But either way, it's really cool to see in that one episode how many different things they were possibly influenced by from other popular horror movies. But other than it being creepy, it was actually one of the goriest episodes that we've seen so far. And I was kind of surprised to see the amount of gore in this one episode, being that it's on AMC. Not everyone has this channel, but if you have it, it'd be kind of shocking to see, especially the last scene with the doctor when he's cutting open his abdomen area with the scalpel and he just bleeds out. I was kind of shocked to see that, but it was just so memorable, this episode. And I know I said before that this show, what makes it good are the characters and how the term terror can mean something that's more humane. But in regards to it being a horror show, which pretty much that's what it is, it truly lived up to what it is just by this one episode. But as far as the storyline goes for the characters, it's divided into two separate stories going on. One with Loos and Chester's family in the camps, of course, and the other one with Chester. We all know he left for war to be a translator, and now he's with some American soldiers and another Japanese translator, and they're there to pretty much break any codes that are around it that can help them with the war. And it's just interesting, I thought, with how those two storylines were connected with each other, how they made a connection with the letters that Chester and Luz were writing to each other, and they had that narrative approach. You hear what the letters are saying to each person. It was kind of an ongoing thing throughout the episode, and to some people that might be a little bit cliche, but I kind of enjoyed that, being that it kept these two storylines connected in some way, because these two characters are no longer in the same area. This is the one way they can communicate with each other. But talking about Chester real quick, he's off in the war at the Guadalcanal, and it's just very, very creepy. Just the whole atmosphere, even when it's not dealing with the supernatural. And I'm talking about the moments where they find all those men in that kind of like little muddy type of pond area, and they're trying to figure out, they're trying to look for clues, and they're finding on the bell, Chester finds those codes, that are writings that's on there, and it's just very, very creepy atmosphere just witnessing that. And that's not even the supernatural part. And the whole time where he pretty much has insomnia, and he's just seeing all these things, he's just having all these illusions, and I'm figuring it has to do somewhat with the Bakemono, but he is just seeing all these crazy things, and he envisions himself being stabbed at the chest at one point. Like, I knew that wasn't really happening, but just to see it all happen was really out there, and it just kind of took you outside of the realm of the show and took you into an entirely new environment. And that was one of the reasons why I really liked what they did with this episode, because it kind of took you outside of the camp. You're now in this whole war area, this whole war environment, and it just had a very different outlook on where this show was going. But there are two moments on Chester's side of the storyline that really come to mind. One on a more humane scale, the other one supernatural. The humane one is how these American soldiers, they're kind of racist towards Chester and the other translator that's there. And that's kind of an ongoing theme that we've seen throughout the last few episodes. And I kind of mentioned that before. But you can tell that they still feel that these guys are the enemy, even though they're trying to help them. And it's just really scary to see that people were like that then. And honestly, some people are kind of like that now. Maybe not exactly Americans and Japanese, but we've seen it already with people that are different from one another. They still look at them as different, even though we're all human beings. And here you have a situation where it's World War II, and they're all trying to fight together. And even them, they're trying to fight to win against their own kind, against other Japanese men. And these soldiers are saying certain things, and they don't even want to listen to this guy, even though he ends up being right, especially on finding that belt. And the guy that's in charge tells all the soldiers, go in there and find more, because obviously this guy knows what he's talking about. And then the supernatural moment, which is probably also reminiscent of very possessed type of movies, maybe like The Exorcist or The Possession of Emily Rose, movies like that. It's the moment where we find that American soldier and he is possessed and he's talking to Chester in Japanese. And it's just so terrifying to watch that, because we know what's possessing him. No one else does. People think that it's just stuff that he was repeating from someone else that took him captive, but it seems that Chester knows what's going on. And it's also seeming like Chester's, he really believes in this whole Bakemono thing, because he does talk to the translator, the other guy, and that other translator guy, he thinks that he's crazy for even believing that's all true. And he's saying, it's just legend. But I think Chester's really falling into the fact that this is real stuff. And talking to this one guy, it's kind of confirming that in a way. But that is probably one of the more creepy moments in regards to Chester's storyline. Just having that whole conversation with the Bakemono that's possessed by that American soldier. But quickly talking about Loos and her side of the story, with the humane part being the relationship between her and Chester's parents. You can see that she's trying to get on their good side. With Chester's mom, it's not really that much of a big deal. You can tell that she likes Loos now, and I think she always has, to be honest. It's Chester's dad that's really the one that she has to get to. And the one scene that really stuck to me was when she walks into the room that he's in, and she has a note, she reads it in Japanese, talking about naming her kids. And you can tell that he was, kind of impressed with her, that she may be respected now from him. And you can tell there's a likeness that kind of grew as this episode went on, especially with what happened after she lost the babies. But you can tell there's a bit of sympathy between her and Chester's parents, and that's something that I feel, in my opinion, that's one of the reasons why I like Loos more than I have before. And I felt like I'm gaining more sympathy towards her, because I feel she doesn't deserve any of this negativity that's been going towards her in regards to other people, especially the Japanese people in the camps. They're kind of all hating on her, and they're, putting prejudice towards her being that she's not Japanese. But I really like that now that she's kind of starting to being a family towards Chester's parents and the rest of the family, especially with Chester not being there. But when talking about Yurei, if I'm pronouncing that right, with the midwife, and how for some reason she wants the babies, she wants Loos's babies. I don't understand why. I still don't understand what her motive is, by the way, what this entity's motive is. Why is she after everyone? And she's possessing almost everyone now. She possessed another American soldier in this episode, which commits suicide when he's holding a bottle of sake. And it's almost like this thing wants to get these Japanese people in trouble, because after the soldiers and everyone, the people that are in charge there, they're ransacking the bunks there just to find sake that's hidden within the floors. And I'm thinking, are they trying to get them in trouble? And you're also thinking, why does this thing want the babies? The babies end up dead, and so the mission that whatever this thing wanted to do, it failed, and then it ends up killing the doctor at the end of the episode. And it's just really, it's interesting knowing that we don't know why this is happening, but I think that's one of the key reasons why myself and hopefully others keep watching it, because we should be given a reason to why this thing is doing what it's doing, probably throughout the next few episodes, because we still got a long way to go. But as of now, it's very clueless to what its motives are. But overall, I felt the writing in this episode was really good, and it's hard to come by when you're doing a horror movie or a show in this case, specifically a show. It's hard to combine just really good writing and still have really good characters, and I think the show pulls it off, especially with this episode. And I just like how we have two separate worlds pretty much with Chester and Loos, and both sides really bring off a strong essence of that genre and have those human elements still intact. But anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed my quick review for episode 4. Stay tuned next week as I review episode 5 of The Terror. And also coming this week, I will be doing a review for It Chapter 2, which comes out technically Thursday night. So I'll have that up Thursday or Friday at the latest. And also, in my continuation of my 1001 movie segment, I will be doing this weekend one on Star Wars The Force Awakens. And I picked that one because here in Florida, we just recently opened Galaxy's Edge, which I also have a video for that as well. I'll put the link right above me. I was there for opening day, so I hope you enjoyed that as well. So if you haven't already subscribed, make sure to click on that subscribe button to hear all this content and more. But I thank you guys for watching my reviews. I hope you're enjoying them. You all are awesome. I'll see you later.